guys. Feel free to pick up whenever you're ready.
We're good to go whenever, then that means.
That's right.
So we're here on Slightly Less Scripted with Evan Stockton, class of 2014. Evan, welcome back. We see you here all the time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Just so everybody knows, peek behind the podcasting curtain. One, I love the name. I did not know that was the name. Big fan of the name. But also, as a sports broadcaster, your life is often nocturnal. We're taping this at like 9:15 in the morning. There are a few things in my life that I would get up this early for. So I am here at 9:15 for Catholic Central. I just want that on the record as we start.
We're definitely honored for that. It is early. This is our kind of the high school's normal work day. We usually get in probably around 7:30, something like that, before the kids. And then, kind of not 9 to 5, but 7 to 3 or whatnot. So
yeah. So you guys are locked and loaded. Like this is fine for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to operate right now.
In my line of work, like one of the worst feelings is we set up all these Zoom calls and stuff for coaches before broadcast. So when they go, okay, the only time we can do is 8 o'clock. I'm like, 8 o'clock. I mean, that may as well be 5 in the morning. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, can't you do 10? Can't you do 11?
Can you do anything else?
No, because you do a game and you're usually charged up, and I usually don't go to bed till like 2 in the morning, just because I'm still kind of
wired
going from the broadcast. Yeah. So when anyone wants to talk at 8 in the morning, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do the call, and then I'm back to bed for like an hour.
That's amazing. Well, let's give everyone a quick update. I looked up, kind of what you've been doing recently, but why don't you just give a quick kind of rundown about what's new? Because obviously in the sportscasting industry, probably a lot changes really quickly.
Yeah, it can. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. So I'm CC class of 2014. I went to college at Syracuse at the Newhouse School, which they will tell you is the best broadcasting school in the world. I'm contractually obligated to tell you it's the best broadcasting school in the world.
We have a connection there then, because their esports program is a part of Newhouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
I just found that out, and we actually sent 2 kids there this past year.
That's fantastic.
From esports to Syracuse. I don't know if either of them are going to be in the communication side of things. I think they went business, but.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, because the Syracuse Alumni Club in Metro Detroit is very, very small. It's like me, Mike Tirico, voice of Sunday Night Football. He lives out in Ann Arbor. Jason Benetti, who's the television voice of the Detroit Tigers, went to Syracuse. We had Fatu Melifonwu on the Lions. I think if he's still on the team, I should know. But I'm not sure if he's still on the Lions. Buddy Boeheim, the basketball coach Jim Boeheim's son, was on the Pistons and in their organization for a little bit. Buddy's no longer in the organization. So our ranks are shrinking very, very quickly in the Syracuse Metro Detroit Alumni Club. It's like me, Tirico, Benetti, Matt Derry, who's worked in local media here for years and years. So we need more Syracuse people. Yeah, because our group outings, which are non-existent, they never happen. But hypothetically, if they did happen, it's like 4 people. So we need a couple more guys. So when we split the bill, because no one's going to pick up the check, when we split the hypothetical bill, it's a little less. So
for each person, I love it.
Anyway, you cut me off.
Yeah, I did. I completely.
You're good.
You're good.
It's important to cut off sports broadcasters, because if you don't cut them off, that's why commercials exist. Otherwise, we won't shut up. So CC class of 2014, Syracuse class of 2018, and I've worked in sports broadcasting ever since. I'm the TV voice of Western Michigan athletics on the ESPN platform. So anytime you flip on a Western basketball game or soccer game or sometimes hockey, whatever it may be, I'm doing that. I do the Pistons minor league team, the Motor City Cruise, which is down at Wayne State. I've called the Michigan high school basketball and football finals since I graduated college, so 2019. All the years get together sometimes. So 2019, I've been fortunate to call CC on TV a handful of times. We used to do a game of the week for football on TV each week. So I did Catholic Central Brother Rice and Catholic Central Northville, and that was a lot of fun. And a whole bunch of other stuff. I did the Big East baseball and softball championships for Fox Sports, as we're taping this last month. We're taping this on July 1st, so it was in May. So technically like a month and a half ago now. So, and a whole bunch of freelance stuff in between. So yeah, those are kind of my main things. It's the Western stuff and the Motor City Cruise and all the MHSAA stuff.
A lot for a young guy, but obviously you've been doing a very good job.
And you can tell he's in broadcasting, because he knows to say when we're taping this.
Yes.
He knows to say that out loud, like, hey, we're taping on July 1. He knows it may not come out on July 2.
I know.
He's a real pro.
These are all like the little tricks of the trade.
The nuances.
Yeah.
Also, go Broncos.
That's right. Go Broncos. Natty champs in hockey. Let's go.
We got Sean here, alumni, and then also the national championship for hockey. How cool is that? I just saw Kellogg's put them on a
I did,
Tony the
yes.
Tiger box, and they're doing some kind of collab there. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool stuff.
But I know there was one question that I wanted to ask you because I remember it was a few years ago. You were with the Mets, right? Syracuse Mets?
Yes. I worked in minor league baseball. I still did it in college. So basically a decade. I stopped doing it this summer. But yeah, I did the Syracuse Mets, the Mets AAA team for 3 years. I did the Cardinals AAA team for 1 year. Yeah, I was in minor league baseball for a long time, which for anyone who's worked in minor league baseball, you get to 9 or 10 years, and that's a while. It's a grind for sure, but it's fun. It's a grind.
And the one clip I had saw, and it was so cool. I think it was Grant Hartwig pitching and you casting the game, announcing.
So you talk about small world and why a place like this is so cool and why I'm so proud to be a Catholic Central Shamrock and so proud to be a part of it. So the last 2 years I did the Syracuse Mets, 2023 and 2024, there were parts of both of those seasons where we had 3 Catholic Central guys there. I was calling the games. Grant Hartwig and Nolan Clenny, who was in my graduating class in 2014, were all on the team at the same time. You know, people talk about signs from the universe and God winks and things like that. In 2023, the first time that all 3 of us were on the team at the same time, Grant started the year in AAA and Nolan had just gotten called up from the AA team. The first series that we were all together was at the end of April when we took a road trip to the Toledo Mud Hens. Like, you know, 3 guys from Metro Detroit who all grew up rooting for the Tigers and following those really good teams when we were growing up. And then, of course, the first series we're all together is, 50 minutes from home. So if you don't believe in God winks or signs from the universe, I present to you that. Like, that stuff just doesn't happen randomly.
That was cool, as an alum to see that as well. I just remember seeing that clip. I forgot who had posted or whatnot, but I was like, man, that's weird, right? Like, how do these guys, roughly same age, end up doing the same thing, but 2 different, career paths, essentially.
Yeah,
but, still close, still sports.
So my freshman year, Nolan and I sat at the same lunch table. So, and Nolan was, he's such a cool story. He very good baseball player here. He went to this tiny little community college in Supply, North Carolina. I apologize if I'm getting the town name wrong to the fine people of that area of North Carolina. Lovely state. But this community college, the town had 100 people. It's just the middle of nowhere. He does very well at this community college. He ends up at North Carolina State, big school, ACC, good baseball program, but they can't figure out what the heck to do with him. So he was a pitcher part of the time. He was a hitter part of the time. He finally decides to become a pitcher. I think he spent parts of 3 summers in the USPBL, the semi-professional league. It's not semi-professional. It is professional out in Utica. And he thought he was going to get signed by one team. The Milwaukee Brewers backed out, and then the Mets popped in. And the fact that Nolan got as far as he has, he's still pitching professionally. Last I checked, he was in the Cubs organization. The fact that Nolan got that far to AAA, 1 step below the major leagues, he was facing guys like Nico Goodrum, former Tiger, and striking them out in AAA. It's pretty remarkable, and it's a testament to how hard you can work. Because I saw it firsthand. There are so many guys at the AAA level who are former major leaguers or big prospects, and Nolan would be the first to tell you, no one was thinking about him. He was not a prospect. He wasn't anybody really of note, but the fact that he got that far is pretty damn cool.
Some hard work.
Yeah, man. No, 100%. And that's what you learn at a place like Catholic Central.
That's amazing. And I think also then Grant got called up for a few games, right? I think. I don't know how long it was, but
yeah, it was it was that 2023 summer, and then I want to say 2024. He was briefly up, and then I don't think he has been since. But
but he actually threw a few.
It was great
MLB pitches, and I remember watching him. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of heat."
No, it's once you are inside the belly of the beast of baseball, everybody goes to a game and, has a beer, has a hot dog, and you think, oh, how did they swing at that pitch in the dirt? You have no idea how hard the sport is. I wish when you went to a Tiger game or a Mets game or whoever you root for, wherever you're listening to this, there was a simulator where you could try to hit the pitchers. If anyone tried to hit Tarek Skubal, you would look like an idiot. You would look like all the guys who try to hit him every single time. It's remarkable how good these guys are at the sport. So the fact that Grant was a major leaguer. I don't know the exact number, but it's like half of 1% of the people who ever play baseball make the major leagues that, play baseball professionally. Like, it's wild. So I'm very, very proud of Grant. It's very cool.
That's unbelievable. That's a cool story, I think. Probably, one of the cooler ones from our years in terms of people doing really, really good job and being successful in their trade. So how does one get into sportscasting? How did you was it something you wanted to do from a young age, or did you figure this out in high school from being here?
Yeah. So yes to all of that. So my dad won't mind me telling this story because I've told it to him to his face. My dad, very successful businessman, worked for a bunch of different companies over a long, long time. But I'm sure like a lot of the young men who come to Catholic Central, he would leave the house before I went to middle school or high school at 6 a.m, and he'd get back at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And the poor guy would just look miserable every day. He'd look like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and it was just a tough day. So I remember being like 10 years old, 11 years old, and thinking, I go to school now. I don't particularly like school. My dad's grown up and he works for a living. He looks like he's going to school every day. When I'm done with school, I don't want to go to school the rest of my life. I want to do something that's fun. So when you're like 10 or 11, you're not thinking about exactly what I want to do or where I want to go to school for this, but you are thinking, I'd like to do something that's fun.
Something that's fun.
So I came to school here, and I've just like a lot of young guys growing up, love sports. I was really lucky growing up here in an era where we had part of my childhood. We had both Red Wings season tickets and Tiger season tickets, and the Red Wings and Tigers were competing for championships every single year, which is really, really cool. The Pistons were really good year after year. The Lions were not.
Lions
good at
are the
time.
one team.
They were the ugly duckling now. Now, they're this beautiful swan.
They're holding us together.
God bless Dan and Brad. They have pushed us to a level that I literally never thought I'd see in my whole life. It's amazing. But I grew up a huge sports fan, and I came to school here, and I forget when I started writing for the school paper. I want to say my sophomore year, maybe my junior year, but I ended up being the sports editor. But
this is for the Spectrum,
This
correct?
is for the Spectrum.
Awesome.
Yes, that was for the Spectrum. And I want to say, I know for sure it was my sophomore year of high school. I had found out there was a broadcasting club. So I played, for parts of my 4 years here, I played hockey, I played baseball, and football was my main sport. I played all 4 years. I played for the great Coach Mack. We made a couple of state championship games. We don't have to talk about what happened when we made those state championship games, but we did make the state football championship game twice, which is really cool. But my sophomore year, I was on the JV team. So obviously, and I was a hardworking guy, but I was not Dylan Roney or Zach Bach. Shout out to those guys if they're watching. I was not good. So I was not going to get called up to the varsity team. So I would, obviously be watching the games, and there was a broadcasting club. And the guy who was running the broadcasting club, Bobby Dorigo Jones, I somehow walked up to him or emailed him or texted him. I don't know. But I said to him, hey, I'm interested in helping out with this. If you ever need help, I'd be interested, which is a great lesson for anybody young and old listening to this podcast. It's amazing if you just offer help to people, how often people want to help you back, I think, in life. And I still struggle with this. Like, everyone thinks about, nervous to reach out about things, or what if something goes wrong, but sometimes you also have to think about what if something goes right. Maybe you'll get an right, exactly. Yeah. If you get an opportunity. So I mentioned that to Bobby. I want to say a little bit of time went by, and then it was like the Friday before a Catholic Central St. Mary's football game, and he texted me, found me in the hallway, and said, hey, the guy who is going to be the color analyst for our broadcast tomorrow is sick or out of town. Can you do it? I was like, sure, great. So at the time, I didn't really know anything about preparation and getting ready for a broadcast. I basically just showed up an hour before the game and figured out how, hope someone would let me in the press box. But I remember putting on the headset and calling that game and just thinking, this is really cool, man. Like, if I can't play in the game, this is about as close as you can get. And it was a big game. Both teams are really good. I think CC won. Don't quote me on that.
You get to feel a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to feel a part of it. So when Bobby left my junior and senior year, I ran the broadcasting club here. I found out when I went to college, we had pretty good equipment, just like this podcasting facility is beautiful and all the microphones you guys have and the whole setup is really, really cool. But my junior and senior year, when I wasn't playing football, I was calling everything I possibly could. I would take our mixer and headset and drive over to Brother Rice and do a Brother Rice Catholic Central game, a radio broadcast on our little, I think it was Meritix was the website we were using, that little stream. A lot of my friends were on the varsity hockey team that won the state championship my senior year. So I called all their playoff games and was going to Novi Ice Arena, and it was called CompuWare at the time. Now it's USA Hockey. I was doing all that, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then I started thinking, is there a place to go to school for this? Again, I didn't know anything about it. You quickly learn when you get into broadcasting, there's a lot of people whose moms and dads and aunts and uncles are in it. I didn't know anybody. So I literally would start watching games on ESPN, on Fox, on wherever, and I would start Googling the names of the men and women who went to the, who were calling the games. And I would go, oh, he went to Syracuse. He went to Syracuse. She went to Syracuse. All I knew about Syracuse was they were pretty good at basketball and they played in this dome. I didn't know anything else about Syracuse.
I think that's all I knew a few years ago
right.
too. Yeah.
I mean, because, being from Michigan, again, as I talked about, there's not like a robust alumni club for Syracuse and Metro Detroit. So, but I visited and found out the program was great and got in, and then I went there and I dove into all the student television and radio stuff. And my senior year is when ESPN was preparing to launch the ACC network, kind of like the Big Ten network. And as part of that soft rollout, because, part of the deal with these networks, if anyone who's watching who's a Michigan or Michigan State fan, they air so many men's and women's basketball games and football and some of the, higher level soccer championships, field hockey, stuff like that. But there are so many games that they're not going to put on the main network. So what they do is they do something called Big Ten Network Plus, where they have students who broadcast a lot of the games. And to do all this stuff, kind of like the podcasting here, you got to have a control room. So they were doing the same thing at Syracuse. And as part of the rollout of the ACC network, they were doing online broadcasts of what they call the Olympic sports. So basically anything that's not, men's basketball or football. So women's basketball, lacrosse, women's hockey, a whole bunch of stuff. And I was doing that. And I really fell in love with calling games on TV. I still love doing radio. If you're a play-by-play practitioner, aficionado, everybody likes to do the game on the radio. But what I love about doing games on TV is what I loved about playing sports here, and what I loved about still love being part of the Catholic Central community, is when you're calling a game, the average person sees the two people calling the game up in the booth and the person who's on the sidelines. But what you don't see is the 12 to 15 people minimum in the production truck. And you don't see the stage manager and the A2 behind you to make sure there's no lint on your jacket and to make sure that you're plugged in and you can hear everything. So I quickly learned that in college, and I fell in love with being part of a team and calling a game in that atmosphere. And I thought, okay, well, how can I quickly get back to that? So I graduated and just looked at broadcasters a little older than me who had ascended pretty quickly and saw their path. And there's no right or wrong way to go about things, but that's what I tried to follow. So, and I've been fortunate that it's worked out in that way. I basically cold called, like I said, reached out to Western Michigan with the help of another Syracuse alum who had done some stuff there previously, and was fortunate to start. I did, I think, like 4 soccer games, and then that turned into 5 basketball games, and then that turned into doing all their stuff. And yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there. So
would you say that you're more of a color commentator, or do you like the play-by-play stuff?
Play-by-play.
Okay.
So the color commentary, I could do it, but I'd be faking it because the person who's typically the color commentator is an expert, right? You turn on a baseball game and the color commentator is a former pitcher. You turn on a football game and it's Troy Aikman or, Tom Brady, a former quarterback. So, I played high school football. So like, I think I know football. I don't actually know football, and that's fine. And that's something that I have been told in my career, which I think a lot of play-by-play men and women, you're around sports so much, you think you're an expert, and you have to remind yourself you're You're not an expert.
I don't know everything just
no,
yet.
no. I mean, compared to like Troy Aikman, I don't know a darn thing.
Yeah, for sure. And then in terms of the sports, obviously you've casted so many of them. Yeah, you played football and hockey and other things. Do you have a particular one that's really fun to cast?
So if I'm being honest, I love football.
Okay.
Because I played football. This is going to sound strange, but I think my favorite part of calling football is the preparation to call football. And here's what I mean. And any former football player will understand this feeling. Go back to high school, right? You play on a Friday or Saturday night. Well, the day after the game, you come back, you run, you lift weights, you watch the film. The day after that, you get a day off. The next day, you come back. So you're here at Catholic Central and you just played St. Mary's and you're preparing to play De La Salle. Well, that day after your off day, I don't want to make I've been told the tables are wobbly, so I want to make sure we're not tipping over any tables.
I saw that one tilting. I was like, that one's about to go.
No,
that was a good catch.
We're good. Anyway, so you would come back and you'd implement the game plan, and then the next day would be your really hard work day of practice, where you're really hitting each other and you're really implementing the game plan and how do we beat De La Salle. And then the next practice is a little bit more of a cool down. And then the day before a game is a walkthrough. Then you play the game. Hopefully you win. And the whole process starts all over again. So, again, we're taping this in July. I'll start doing my football schedule in, third, fourth week in August. So, say I'm doing a Saturday college game. Well, Sunday, typically you'll take the day off. Monday, Tuesday is when these schools, these teams start coming out with their game notes and their rosters and their starters and their backups. It's called the 2-deep. And I'll start my preparation for every single game that I do. I have what's called a spotting board in front of me for every sport. So essentially the way to think of it is when you were taking math tests growing up and they told you could have an 8.5 by 11 card and you scribbled like every little formula you could possibly want on that note card. That's what I do preparing for a broadcast. So if I'm doing football, because there's so many players you got to know 40 to 45 players on each team.
And you want to know a little bit about them.
Exactly. Just in case the guy has a big interception or a big run, you got to know where he's from.
You can add some stuff about him.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. So that process will take me 2-3 days. And then you typically want to get and then you'll talk to a coach a day or two before the game. So typically you want to have your baseline of knowledge, your baseline preparation done before then. So when you're talking to the coach, you know what the heck you're talking about. And then you get to the game, hopefully it goes well, and the process starts all over again. So
it's fast-paced.
Yeah, exactly. And I love, I played football. Deep down, it's probably my favorite sport of them all. But yeah, I enjoy the preparation of it. And it's different for every sport. When I'm working for a baseball team and I'm doing that every day, it's a different level of preparation because you're around it pretty much every single day for 6 months. So you know
a lot of games.
Yeah, like your team. So you're really learning the other team. Because, when I was working for the Syracuse Mets, I knew the team like the back of my hand. I could roll out of bed and call specifically the Syracuse Mets, but I had to prepare for the Worcester Red Sox or the Toledo Mud Hens or the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs or whoever. When it's basketball season, because I do go back and forth I do a lot of high school stuff as well. So I'll go between St. Mary's, UAD one night to Western Michigan, Toledo another night to Motor City Cruise, College Park Skyhawks. That's the Hawks G League team. So I'll be going back and forth. So for those sports, you feel like in the preparation, to use the analogy of getting in a pool, you're only like dipping your toe in the pool, and that's okay because that's really all the time you have. Versus football, you can really take a cannonball and you can really dive into Catholic Central and De La Salle or Bowling Green and Toledo or Michigan and Michigan State or whoever. So yeah, that's above all, I probably enjoy football the most because the sentimentality of I played the sport. It is probably my favorite sport, but also I enjoy just the fact that they only play one game a week. So you do have the time to really dive in and you feel like you know the material, you really know it. Not that you don't during the other sports, but
it's a different level.
Yeah, it's almost impossible in the other sports because they turn around so quick and play so many games to truly feel like you've grasped the subject matter, for lack of a better way to say it, versus football, you walk into that building and you feel like, okay, I know what the heck I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're almost kind of like, I'm getting a chance to play here a little bit. It kind of feels like that.
A little bit.
I wonder what it feels like when, I'm sure you've had this happen, what happens when you're in a minor league game or another game and the game is just really slow? Like is there sometimes where the game is just not fun to be watching?
So I'm glad you bring this up. So when I was doing the Big East softball championships on, if it was FS1 or FS2, one of the Fox Sports channels, like 6 or 7 weeks ago, again, as we tape this, the championship game was Connecticut against Creighton. And Connecticut had a great softball team this year. They won the game 18-4.
Okay.
They were up 14-0. But I have called, I don't want to total up how many baseball games at this point because it would probably depress me a little bit, but I've called a lot of baseball games. And sometimes you get stinkers. Sometimes it's 16-3 in the 8th inning. And you're like, well, if anybody is still possibly watching or listening to this game and has nothing better to do with their Wednesday night when it's 16-3, I'm going to give them something. I'm going to tell them a story. I'm going to joke around. I'm going to give them something. So when that softball game got really bad, I just,
started talking.
Yeah, no, and I had my analyst, and I had just met her a couple days ago, but we had built up a good rapport pretty quickly. So we were kind of, shooting the what, and I don't even know what we talked about when we talked about something. And the game ended. And I remember after that, the man who runs broadcasting for the Big East, a gentleman named Scott Hecht, very, very friendly man, very kind man, has been very helpful to me in my career. He was my professor at Syracuse. So after the game, Scott looks at me and he goes, how'd you do that? How hard was that? I'm like, man, when you've called that much minor league baseball, that was easy. I'm on TV. I don't have to talk as much. I can just lay out for 20 seconds and let the pitch happen and let the ambient sounds happen. And I don't know, tell some stories, and it wasn't that bad. So I've called a lot of stinkers. Yeah. But what you learn in the stinkers is how to make it stink less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's valuable for...
We're going to get through this together, the viewers and me.
But this applies when I have been fortunate to come in and talk to the students here at Catholic Central. I try to remind them that, mine is a very specialized, unique line of work, but it does apply to all the other lines of work that you may want to go into. That's why it's important to, whatever you want to go into, get an internship, take that first stinky job out of college. Where you're not making as much money as you probably deserve. Spoiler alert. Pretty much everybody in every line of work is either not making what they deserve or probably making way too much over what they deserve. Like there's no middle ground. But yeah, that's what I try to tell the guys is, hey, take those opportunities where you can grow, you can experience a lot of things, you can fail, and like the I don't want to put this, it's not cataclysmic if you fail. Like it's not the end of the world. Yeah. Like you're not going to get
You're going
to
learn from it.
Yeah, because I learned that doing the Auburn Double Days and Low A ball and the Fort Wayne Tin Caps and High A ball and the Syracuse Mets and Triple A ball. You're afforded the opportunity to learn and grow. And even if you fail or make a mistake, you're not going to get killed. Because the idea is once you start doing some of the higher level opportunities that I've been able to have and knock on wood will continue to have, you're ready. You're prepared. You've been there. All those games I did that were stinky games and blowout games prepared me for on national television when it's 14-0. Again, if anybody's still watching, let's give them a good show. Let's give them something.
Yeah, that's awesome. In terms of travel, I'm guessing that your job particular has a lot of travel in it, right?
Yes.
Is there a particular place that you've been like surprised about, or is there a place that you're like, wow, this place has got really good food I would have never noticed? Or you probably traveled to a bunch of like more different places, maybe places other people haven't been to.
Yeah, so I've traveled to, let's see, in the AAA, especially the last handful of years. I have been to Buffalo, New York. I don't want to know how many times, and I have literally eaten every chicken wing Buffalo, New York has to offer. So if you want recommendations, I got you. They're going to tell you Duff's, it's fine. They're going to tell you Anchor Bar, it's fine. Where you really want to go is this place like 25-30 minutes outside Buffalo. I believe the name of the town is Amherst, where it is. Bar Bill Tavern is elite chicken wings. Another podcast you may have heard of, Pardon My Take, they love a place called Wingnuts in Buffalo. I've been there many times. Wingnuts is very good. I would give Bar Bill a slight little boost over Wingnuts, but those are very good. And this place called Gabriel's Gate, those are the 3 chicken wing places that are my favorites. I'm sure anybody watching this for Buffalo will tell me I missed like 7 other spots. Sorry. Hopefully I'll make it back to Buffalo at some point very soon. Like all these little places in the minor leagues, you realize how much it means to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Allentown, Pennsylvania,
the cities that they're part of,
St. Paul, Minnesota, like how much it means that they have these teams there. And that's why it's important that minor league sports needs to continue to exist in those towns, because it is applying, it is providing jobs, it is providing money to those places. So that's really cool. The amount of college sports that I do, I love college campuses. So I was just at Villanova and Xavier the last handful of weekends doing the Big East baseball and softball. So my uncle, who's a Catholic Central grad, went to Villanova. I had never been to Villanova. So that was really cool to see all those places he had talked about. Speaking of travel, I think, again, just as a broad thing about being a human, it is so important to travel and see other places, because even at a place like Catholic Central, where there is such a commitment to diversity and people who don't all look the same, you can fall into certain silos in life, and you can kind of be surrounded by people who think the same as you. So I think the beauty of travel is, whether you travel internationally or just an hour from where you're from, you realize, the way that I do it is not the same way as other people do it. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just different. And it allows you as a human being to really formulate your own opinions and not formulate the opinions of all the other people around you. You know what I mean? It's not like the theory of, you're a sheep and you're just following the herd. Well, you got to step outside the herd to figure out, do I want to keep following the herd, or maybe do I want to go right or left? That's why I really enjoyed going to Syracuse for college, among many reasons, was, I was around, I think there were like 7 kids from Michigan in my class. So, I was around people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Long Island, Pennsylvania, like
You're
all
the
these
odd one
places
out.
that I didn't know anything. Like even now to this day, when something happens for Detroit sports, like all my friends from college, they text me because I'm the only person they know from Michigan, right? Like they know a million people from Jersey and they know a million people from Connecticut. They don't know a lot of people from Michigan. So yeah, I think the ability to travel for my job has been really, really cool. And to, as part of my job, talk to a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. I truly feel it's made me a better person, being forced to step outside of my comfort zone sometimes and learn other people and kind of formulate my other opinions about stuff.
Which city has the best fans?
City has the best fans.
That you maybe not a major city either, but maybe one you went to and you went, whoa, they really love being here.
Yeah. Okay. You never want to say like one place is best, because then people get upset. Because and again, how do you quantify what's best, right? Everyone in Michigan is biased, and we think we're great sports fans, which we are. We're outstanding sports fans.
Were you shocked by an atmosphere ever that you went to?
Here's what I was surprised by. So when I went to college, my senior year house, of course I found a couple of Midwest guys, but I lived with a guy from Cleveland, Nate, who's still my best friend to this day, a guy from Chicago, a guy named Sam Rubinoff, a Jewish guy from Boca, who's one of my best friends. I was in his wedding, so Catholic guy in a Jewish wedding. I still have the little yarmulke in my room. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. And a guy from LA. So, a guy from Chicago, a guy from Cleveland, a guy from the greater Miami area, and a guy from LA. What I realized about the average sports fan who's not from the Midwest, we in the Midwest are so fiercely proud of where we're from and so fiercely proud of our teams. Whether we realize it or not, we don't really pay attention to the other markets. Here's what I mean. So the guy who I lived with from Los Angeles, he knew as much, if not more, about, the Pistons than I did, or the Lions than I did. But he also knew stuff about the Oklahoma City Thunder and closer to home, but at the time, the San Diego Chargers and the Dolphins and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I know the Tigers like the back of my hand. I know the Red Wings like the back of my hand, but I can't pretend to tell you anything about the Lakers, except I think at the time, Kobe was just retiring and LeBron was about to sign on the team. So I did realize that the Midwest fan is really fiercely loyal to their own market.
Siloed.
Versus like you go to the New York fan and they're fiercely proud of their teams, but they also kind of know about other stuff. And yeah, I would say that there are unbelievably rabid fans in the Midwest, but there is, I think, a little more grace afforded to them versus the average New York, Boston, Philadelphia fan. They'll let you have it, man. Like they're taking no BS. Like they're on you. So I think
so. It's a little different.
Yeah, and it also speaks to the style of life. You know, a lot of East Coast people live in a city. Another thing I learned: everyone thinks East Coast people are rude. Sometimes they're rude. Sometimes Midwest people are rude. But East Coast people literally live a faster lifestyle. I don't have time to have a 7-minute conversation. I got to make it to the subway. If I don't make it to the subway, I'm going to be late for work. And if I'm late for work, I'm going to get fired. So I don't have time to talk to you. I want to. I don't have time to talk to you right now. A lot of Midwest people live in suburbs. We got all the time in the world, baby. Like our schedule is based upon when do I need to get in my car and pick up the kid from practice or whatever. So Midwest people, a lot of that Midwest niceness you hear, which is 100% true, but it does come back to
their lifestyle.
Yeah, it does come back to that. And East Coast lifestyle is a little faster paced, and that blends into their sports teams where they're not going to, like, if the Mets stink, the Mets stink. We're not going to mess around. We're not going to waste time on the Mets versus even the last handful of years when the Tigers admittedly weren't very good. People still went because it was a summer thing to do, and we're going to support our team versus on the East Coast. If you're bad, we got better things to do. So
yeah. Speaking of Tigers, do you think Tigers are the truth this year, or are we having just a little bit of a hot run and potentially
I think
might not be the best team in baseball?
So it's funny you bring this up because, like, as a play-by-play guy, I am trained to. It's not my job to give opinion. It's my job to describe the game. It's my job to get an opinion out of the analyst I'm working with because they're, again, as we were talking about, the expert. It's my job. But, like, it's not always my job to have a hot take
or an opinion.
Exactly. I'm literally there to tell you, I'm there to
hear the facts.
I'm there to provide the facts. I'm there to provide a little levity. I am there to be the show's point guard and the broadcast point guard and to keep things moving. So what I would say about the Tigers is it's freaking remarkable how quickly they've turned it around. They were a middling to frankly bad baseball team this time last year, and all of a sudden they're the best team in the sport. And what that does speak to is they've got smart people in charge. Scott Harris, who runs the team, his technical title is, I think, president of baseball operations. He's the one running the show, and Scott has done a remarkable job of not just identifying talent as prospects, but finding pieces that, does Kerry Carpenter fit on every team? Maybe, maybe not, but he fits in Detroit. They've done a great job of developing Riley Green and getting Spencer Torkelson and Javi Baez back to levels that I don't think anyone thought they could be at this time last year. And then they're buoyed by the fact that they have the best pitcher in the sport. Tarek Skubal is unbelievably fun to watch every single time he pitches. So I would say that, and I'm telling them things they already know. And again, when this comes out, maybe I look like an idiot. Maybe I'm proven true. They probably need another arm or two in the bullpen. I think the thing that could get them when they come to the playoffs is sometimes that offense is boom or bust. They could go, they just played a game a couple days ago that I actually went to with a buddy of mine where they played, this is horrible. I forget who they played. Minnesota. They played Minnesota. And they hit 4 home runs and they won the game. Their offense can be boom or bust a little bit. So I think they could probably use another bat or two. They could probably use another bullpen arm or two. But the way that they have completely flipped the culture, the way that, and I'm forgetting maybe the most important person, AJ Hinch is an outstanding manager who really knows what the heck he's doing. And he has taken this whole team of Swiss Army knives and coalesced them into a really good unit.
It seems like they're good at solving puzzles in the Tigers organization.
God, I'm the professional over here, and you're just, God, it frustrates me so much that you said it perfectly, and I sat over here for 7 minutes just talking in circles. Yes,
because they simply do not have the best roster when you look. Look up and down it,
and that's not to be mean. It's the truth.
It's the
like
truth,
you stack them up with the Yankees or
on
the Mets,
paper, they don't look
or
great.
The Dodgers. No, but they have the best pitcher in the game. That's their ace in the hole. And they are a team that can solve a lot of puzzles. You look at, traditionally the Yankees have power pitching and power hitting, but it feels like they can't solve as many puzzles as the Tigers can. Now, can they bludgeon them to death when they get to the playoffs and beat them? Absolutely.
Yeah,
and the odds makers would probably still say that at this time. But yeah, like it's really, really unique, fascinating, cool to see how quickly the Tigers have turned it around, because they were middling to bad, and all of a sudden they're literally 22 games over 500.
I legitimately started watching them again when whatever the percentage was, but was it point? No, not point, but maybe 1 point something percent. 1.
Yeah, it was like 1% for them.
1%.
Yeah.
So I had just started watching them at that point last year. I forgot, someone turned it on in the esports room. I watched the game. I was like, okay, we look all right, whatever. Then all of a sudden, we kept watching them, and they're starting to turn it around. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a playoff game in Detroit last year, and I was like, what the heck? I haven't been to a playoff game since I was a little kid.
Yeah. We it's cool too how quickly Detroit sports has turned around. Obviously, the Lions have become.
Everyone looks good for the most part. I mean,
the only one is the Wings, which kills me because my family has Wings season tickets. Right? So of all the teams, we probably care most about the Red Wings. So the fact that in this bizarro world where for so long it was the Wings that were great and everyone else was trying to catch up, now everyone else is pretty good and the Wings are trying to catch up.
That's what happens.
It's funny.
20 consecutive years, I think.
Yeah, 20. I think it was 26.
Was it? Was it more than 20? Okay,
it was pretty remarkable.
I know. Yeah. I think Lindstrom made every single playoff.
Yeah.
When he played.
Nick Lidstrom, of all the players I have called professionally and just watched as a fan, that's the best guy I've ever seen. I remember being a little kid, again, huge sports fan, watching every game. I saw him make one mistake. Like one time he made a bad breakout pass that led to a shot on goal for Calgary or Edmonton or whoever they were playing. He was pretty good.
I played soccer with his son, Sam.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
And he used to come. He was a very normal dude. He used to come with a little hat on, watch his kid play soccer. Mm-hmm. Didn't really want attention, kind of stood by himself a lot of times, but would come up and talk to you very normally. And his son played soccer like he played hockey. The legs came all the way out when he was running.
Yeah.
He was pretty good at soccer too. So
I mean, there's a lot. There's been a handful of Red Wings, affiliated people who have come here. My claim to fame is Mike Babcock's son, Michael, used to statute of limitations. He used to take my homework.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That happens sometimes.
No, I would do. We would sometimes evenly split up the distribution. It usually wasn't, completely even. Sometimes it was me 80, him percent 20. But we were I forget what
collaboration.
Class it was. Yeah, it was a collaboration.
Collaboration.
But I did more of the collaborating. Yeah.
That's a good. Well, everyone needs to learn how to be on a team. I think it's important. Speaking of Babcock, he was actually here doing a tour of the STEM building. I don't remember how long ago it was. Maybe I'll go 6 months ago.
Okay.
With Valerie Vig, one of our construction reps or president of JS Vig, and giving a tour. And I was actually walking my brother around, giving him a tour. He graduated in 11. I probably got that wrong.
Okay.
But walking by, see him, obviously go up, say hello.
Yeah.
And Val ends up telling him a little bit about me, and is like, hey, this is Steven. He's actually our esports coach. If I could have captured that moment for the world, his face, like, what? He was like, what on earth are you talking about? And he left me with, well, that's good for you.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
It was completely just like a rant. Just so random, and he was stunned by like, what is esports?
But I'm glad you said that though, because what I love about this place and why I'm so proud to be third generation Shamrock, knock on wood, fingers crossed, there will be fourth generation someday, is the fact that there are so many avenues at Catholic Central for people to pursue their passions and do what they want. A big school like Catholic Central has been built on the foundation of great academics, and there's been really good athletic teams here. Obviously, football and wrestling and hockey and teams like that over the years. But there's an unbelievable esports program, and the STEM building, I call it Hogwarts, jokingly. It's crazy that kids can go to school there every single day. It's wild. The ability at Catholic Central for you to pursue what you want. And by the way, you're not judged for it. There's not cliques here of, oh, you're in esports.
Yeah,
or, you're just a jock athlete. Like that was not a thing when I was here, and I know it's not a thing here. People are allowed to pursue their passions. And the fact that the bell ends does school end at 2:45 still?
Bell ends at 2:45.
No one leaves at 2:45. Like everybody's here till 5, 6 o'clock because they're writing for the Spectrum or they're playing football or they're doing whatever. Like That's so cool. And that's why opportunities like this are awesome. That's why there are so many alumni who want to stay involved. I remember being in college, I'd go out with my buddies on a Friday or Saturday night, and I would find the live streams of high school sports are much better now, but at the time they were crummy live streams. And I'm watching the Catholic Central game, and all my friends look at me like I have 7 heads. They're like, why do you care about your high school?
Yeah.
And for a while, I tried to explain, and I gave them a longer answer, but what I settled on eventually was it's just different, man. Catholic Central's just different. Go. Like it sticks to your ribs. It's different. So.
100%. I'm glad you brought up watching one of the games that the kids have been putting on. How cool has that been to see from what it was in the past to what it is today? Today, when I watch them, I'm like, this is like collegiate level. It's
not cool. I'm jealous as hell. Like, it's not cool at all. I watch these broadcasts. I'm like, where was this when I was in school? It's crazy. It's outstanding. And again, going back to not just the guys calling the game, but all the work they're putting in behind the scenes, all the work and all the time to make that production look as professional as it does for 16, 17, 18-year-old kids is freaking phenomenal. I am so proud and so impressed by all the work that has been put in. And I just know, again, another avenue going forward where, guys who maybe aren't the most athletic, but still love sports go, hey,
this is something I could do.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, selfishly or not, but hopefully they see somebody like me doing what I'm doing and they go, oh, like,
I have a connection.
Yeah, I can do that. And that's why I enjoy coming back and talking is, for better or for worse, you can throw a rock here and there's a successful businessman, right?
Sure.
There's a lot of successful people in that realm, but, and it's why it's important in my business. It's very important that, we have so many people of color now in the industry and so many females and so many people who aren't just, white dudes like me, because you have to see somebody who looks like you and has gone through experience like you doing something to truly visualize in your mind's eye that you can do it. And hopefully when I have been fortunate to come back and speak to the students and they see, oh, Evan's done this, or, oh, maybe I actually heard him calling a high school championship or whatever.
You visualize it.
Yeah, exactly. You can visualize it and you can picture yourself like that dude was here 10 years ago and he's doing it and he's doing yada, yada, yada. So if he did it, why the heck can't I do it?
Yeah. No, that's the
I have
truth.
to give you a little bit of credit too, Evan. You came in and spoke to the students and kind of upped their game from the commentary perspective. And a lot of them still cite those like notes you gave them on how to prepare and all of that stuff. So there's a little bit of Evan Stockton in those broadcasts still to this day.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But it also goes back to you don't know what you don't know, right? So getting them to understand some of the nuances, right? I think one of the things I know one of the things I told them was, and this goes to life, how you present things and the tone of your voice. You could say the exact same words, but it could be different. So, for example, say you're calling a baseball game. Swinging a fly ball deep to right field, it's gone. Versus swinging a fly ball to right field, it's gone. I said the same words, but obviously
different.
Through my tone of voice, one was, oh my God, he hit a home run too. Oh my God, he hit a home run.
Yeah.
So those little nuances of how the story behind what you're saying, if that makes any sense. And yes, the preparation that goes into it. And hey, if we're doing Catholic Central De La Salle basketball on a Friday night, guess what? It's Tuesday or Wednesday. We better be preparing, boys. What just happened last game for Catholic Central? What's the story of the season? Going forward, how important is this to their Catholic League hopes? And, what are their hopes of going far in the basketball tournament? And what's going on with De La Salle? How good are they this year? Do they have some big time recruit? All that sorts of stuff. So that is another common misconception, which hopefully I got through to the guys pretty quickly, was like, you don't just show up to the arena or the ballpark or the stadium and look at a roster and call a game. There are hours upon hours.
No one's that good.
No, nobody is. and even if they were, they shouldn't be doing that because that you're cheating the profession. There's hours and hours and days upon days of stuff that goes into it. And then it all manifests itself in 2, 3, 4 hours on TV or radio. Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite product? What's your favorite thing that you've put on? Do you have a game that you can remember? You're like, that was a good game.
Yeah. Sheesh. I thought we did the high school girls basketball championships. Me and my partner, she goes by Alexis now in the air. Her name's Lexi Ayala. We've called the high school championships together for 2, 3, 4 years, and we do a lot of stuff together at Western. We did Tecumseh against Grand Rapids West Catholic. And, when you're doing these high school events, right, the average person's going to have no earthly idea about either of these teams when they flip on the game. But our job when you flip on the game is to give you a reason to keep watching. So Tecumseh, I believe at the time, was undefeated. It was the best season they've ever had. The mom was the coach. The husband, the dad was the athletic director. The 2 best players were sisters. The brother, who was playing college football at Northwood, I want to say, had come back because he was on spring break. He was one of their assistant coaches. He was given one of his sister's post-move instruction during one of the TV timeouts. Their youngest sister was an 8th grader who was apparently better than her 2 sisters already, and she's going to be at the school next year, and she was the manager. So, all these stories that we found out through, again, being at the Breslin Center for a couple of days in preparation, and Tecumseh won the game. So I really felt like we told that story well and gave that family the justice that they deserve. And we're taping this right before 4th of July weekend. They're going up north somewhere this weekend, and they're going to be talking about that state basketball championship and girls basketball they just won. So I thought we gave that story justice. I tell people all the time, one of the favorite games that I've ever called and ever will call is in 2022 when we were doing a high school football game each week on the artist formerly known as Bally Sports Detroit. Now it's FanDuel Sports Network Detroit. The name could have changed by the time this comes out. I hope not, because that means the contract changed. But we did Catholic Central Brother Rice. And I called the game with Justin Sassante, who, of course, is now the football coach here at CC. Love Justin to death. And Grant Perry, a guy who played football at Michigan, wide receiver, who was outstanding at Brother Rice and kicked our butt multiple years when I was playing football at CC. Those are my 2 partners in the booth. We did a big interview at halftime with Coach Mack and Coach Fracassa, who are the 2 greatest, top 2 of the top 5, top 3 high school football coaches who have ever lived in Michigan. And it was a great game. Catholic Central had a 100-yard pick 6 and won the game by a couple of points, if I remember correctly. And the first football game I ever went to was Catholic Central Brother Rice when I was 4 years old. So as silly as it may sound, I hope I call the Super Bowl someday. I hope I call the Rose Bowl. I hope I call the World Series. I hope I call whatever event. But getting the chance to do Catholic Central Brother Rice was
special
and meant a lot. And the guy who gave me the opportunity, the guy who assigned me, the guy who hired me at Fox Sports Detroit at the time was Jeff Bile, whose son was Declan Bile, who was the quarterback here for many years. So it goes back to Catholic Central and connections and all those sorts of things. So yeah, doing CC Brother Rice football was a lot of fun. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So what's next? What's the big goal? You brought up a few big games, but what's kind of next for you? What are you envisioning the next 3, 4, 5 years looks like?
So where I want my career to eventually get to, which again, knock on wood, I'm confident it will, is I would like my career to kind of look like names people may know, Joe Davis, Adam Amin, people like that. Joe Davis is the voice of the World Series for Fox. He calls very high-level NFL games for them, and he's the voice of the Dodgers. I would like to do high-level national games because, it's great exposure and the money's pretty good, but you're working the biggest events. And when I was here at Catholic Central, when I was going through Syracuse, one of my main goals for my career always has been when you turn on a game that Joe Buck is calling, whether you like Joe Buck or not, I personally love him. Whether you like Joe Buck or not, it's a big game. When Jim Nantz is doing the Masters or doing an NFL game, big game, right? There are certain names where you say, that dude's calling the game, she's working the game, it's a big game. That's my goal for my career, is when you turn on a broadcast, when you flip on Fox or ESPN or whoever hires me, Evan Stockton's doing the game, it's a big game.
Nice.
So I want to work that level of event. And I would love to be the voice of a team in any of the big 4 sports. I won't discriminate because those jobs are darn near impossible to get. Because I think it's really, really unique and cool to have a relationship with a community and, be able to go to the grocery store and they say, oh, great Piston game last night. Great call. Or, oh, great Red Wing game last night. Great call. That would be a lot of fun. So yes, I want to, and knock on wood, fingers crossed, we'll keep working toward that. Getting to the highest level of event, you flip on a game and you go, oh, Evan Stockton's calling the game. It must be a big game. And then, to work for a team and have that connection, I think would be really, really unique and cool because a lot of the famous broadcasters people remember, whether they be Vin Scully in baseball or, in hockey. Doc Emmerich was a national guy, but he worked for the New Jersey Devils for years and years. You do associate a lot of broadcasters with the teams that they have worked for. Of course, here, everyone thinks of the Tigers and they think of Ernie Harwell, and you think of the Pistons and you think of George Blaha, count that baby in a foul.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. So I think that would be really, really unique if I could have that connection with a certain team and do it for 20, 30, 40 years. And selfishly, if you do that job well, that's job security, which sometimes in my line of work, things can literally change tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I hope you do it. That way I can bring you back on and say, here, we're here with Evan Stockton,
Okay.
the voice of blank.
All right.
We'll do it again.
All right.
Oh, this has been a great conversation, great catching up with you. And I've talked to you a few times before, but probably not this much in depth. And I got to learn a lot, and you provide a lot of value to the kids, to the school. I think a lot of them watch the podcast and love it. You got any last words for either the students here or just, any final?
Where can we find you?
See, that's just broadcasting pros over here,
We're trying to figure it out.
Ones are like,
No, I'm asking.
This camera.
I'm asking selfishly.
Tell me what you got going on. So on all the socials, I think it's just EV Stockton. This is a fun story. So in high school, one of my buddies, Jeremy, who actually went to St. Mary's, he's my oldest friend from middle school, one of them, he gave me it's a long story, but he gave me the nickname E-Cash. So that was my Twitter name, my Instagram for a long time. And then I got to college and I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this professionally, like I should probably get a professional name, right? Like, I don't know if E-Cash works, So it's EV Stockton on everything.
A little handle before. It's
our
gamer tags in esports.
Personal website is evanstockton.com. Please visit because I think I'm paying like $200 a year for that domain name. It's not cheap, so please visit. So I can keep paying for it. So that's where you can find everything. And the last thing I want to say and why I'm so appreciative to come on the podcast is this place means the world to me. I'm third generation. I have a great uncle, Father Owen Lee, who was a Basilian priest. My dad went here. I went here. My two brothers went here. My uncle went here. My cousins went here. Again, knock on wood. I would love to send my son here someday. Quick funny story. So my mom has a brother who went to Catholic Central. She married a guy who went to Catholic Central. Her dad went to Catholic Central. When I was in the 8th grade, I went to St. Pat's in White Lake, which is prime St. Mary's country. Like all the guys went to St. Mary's there. So my mom and my dad let me shadow St. Mary's. I kind of liked St. Mary's. I came home from shadowing St. Mary's and I said to my mom, I don't know, I think I want to go to St. Mary's. This is a quote. She can claim she didn't say this. She said this. She goes, that's great. You're going to have to find a new place to live.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bridget
Stockton, former president of the Mothers Club here at Catholic Central.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
I went here. So many of my family members went here. I think we have 15 or 16 in my family who went here. My mom has more passion for this place than all of us combined. And we're pretty passionate about this place. But why I do love Catholic Central, why I love coming back, I always want to help is those connections and how unique the place is. So many people think about CC and they think of the football team's good and the hockey team's good, but there is literally something for everybody here. And the way that you are able to grow as a young man, the goodness, discipline, and knowledge that is taught every single day, and the way that you're able to take that into college and then into real world. I mean, stuff I learned here, I think about every day when my schedule gets busy, planning things out. I learned how to do that here, how to delegate my time. I learned how to do that here, how to build relationships. I learned that here, how to, conduct myself in a way that I, believe is consistent with my faith. I learned here, all that stuff. So you're going to learn so much while you're here, but you're also going to realize as time goes on, how much this place helped and how much it meant to you. And the fact that Catholic Central is growing so much and There's a decommissioned, airplane like 7 steps that way, and there's a really, really nice, podcasting studio that rivals a Joe Rogan or Dax Shepard or whoever. This place means a lot to me, and I want to keep seeing it grow because it's the best high school in America. So
isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Evan.
You're welcome. Appreciate it, guys.